Uh, so where did you start, Andy?
I started in Phoenix.
Okay. And were you sort of just working in Phoenix, or were you going out and sort of finding your little radius of places,
I was in Phoenix, and I was divorced or getting divorced, and I had 2 kids. So for me, it was something I enjoyed doing. I don't think that it was like I was trying to find an audience. I was just
Yeah.
doing open mics, and there was a one room that you could do on Sundays. The Tempe Improv was there, but you couldn't get into that. So as things progressed, I kind of gave it up for 5 years. I did it for 6 months, and I didn't do it for 5 years.
Wow.
And my kids kind of got older, and I was in a situation where I found myself kind of out again, where I was involved in a restaurant group, and I was no longer in that. And I kind of had to evaluate my life and try to look back on what I enjoyed. And I enjoyed being a dad, but that has a lifespan.
Right.
They get older, and I needed to do something that was for me. And so I started testing comedy out again, and just was like, I enjoy this. And I didn't try to make it anything. I just kept doing it, finding my voice in that. It took about 2 years before I was able to start doing comedy where I felt comfortable as I felt about it as the first 6 months that I did it 5 years earlier.
That's pretty cool.
Because when you don't have any experience in it and you get some laughs, you feel really good about it.
Right.
You take time off and you know what it was supposed to be, and you can't get it back to there. It took a while. And so, Phoenix is where I found it. And I love the Phoenix comedy scene. It's a huge scene.
Yeah. When you're young in comedy years, I think every comedian can agree you're so desperate for stage time, that you end up taking things and finding yourselves in scenarios that, after 6 months, you wouldn't even go back. Do you have anything from early on where you're like, what was I doing going there?
Yeah. But it's not just because you're so desperate for stage time or want stage time. You're delusional. Like you
Right.
got laughs. So like, I can do this anywhere. I'm funny anywhere, because you get laughs on a joke 2 or 3 or 4 times in a row. And you're like, this is solid. This is, I'm going to base a career on this joke.
Right.
And, I was paid a small amount of money to do like a carnival rock show, rock and roll show. And I was going to be like intermission.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that is brutal.
And I went on stage, and they're like, well, you're going to have to really work hard to get, their attention. I never got their attention. I never thought anyone in the whole room, and it was like there was 1,000 people in this room, and I would have been better off just taking my clothes off. And I'm not an attractive person, so it would have just been for the scene would have been more worthwhile than anything I tried to do. And that's when I realized that when you listen to comics talk about how important the venue, the sound, it's important. But
it's important, and it's something like you saying, you're just so delusional in those early, like you're never more confident than after the first time you get laughs, like your very first time, and you're like, I can't believe I wasted my time doing anything else than comedy. I'm so goddamn funny. And you really do think like, I'll make this work,
I try to tell everybody, you don't know you want to do comedy until after you bomb hard. That's when you know whether or not you really want to do this.
Because if you can go back to it, then because some of these bombs, do you have any bombs or shows that you're like, yeah, that almost broke me?
Not so much that it broke me, because I really do enjoy it. Like, I enjoy it for myself.
Yeah.
Solely for myself. I know a lot of comedians say, I like giving laughter to people. I mean, no, obviously the people are important to the process, but it's for me. It's for me to feel better about my horrible existence. That's what it's for. And that's what I get out of it. So it never made me not want to do it, because when I didn't get it, it made me need to do it again.
Yeah.
So that I could get that, because
you want to get that taste out of your mouth.
Well, I needed that laughter currency, that currency that you get from laughter, so I could feel good about me. And so it always made me do it. But I had emotional, I had things that were very emotional. And I had one it's not too long ago. It's only about a year and a half ago. And it was the reason, and I think it's my worst feeling ever on stage, because it was so subtle what
Okay.
what the person did to me, that I couldn't respond back to it unless I responded with like the most, in a way that would have turned the whole audience against me as well. That was the only way I could respond to it, if I chose to respond to it. But I tour with Aries Spears. I've been on the road with him for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And I've done well in rooms that I shouldn't maybe do well in.
Yeah.
Or that people wouldn't expect me to do well, is a better way to say it.
Right.
And I was in a room, and I was in Kansas. I'll tell you even the room. It's because it's so it sticks with me. I can't get rid of this. I can't lose this. It was at the Kansas City Improv.
Okay.
And it was Friday night late, and I had already had a good Thursday show and a great Friday early show, and I'm killing, and I'm feeling good about my set. And it's Kansas. I had been there a year earlier, so I was pretty confident anyway. And it was the Friday Night Late Show. And Friday Night Lates are typically the worst show anyway.
Right.
This show was extra difficult. It was people that did not want to have anything to do with me at all. And they were ready for Aries, and the show started about an hour and a half late.
Oh.
And
what is it, like 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
Oh.
We do a 2-man show, so there's no host. I'm the
Right.
host and feature. So, and I'm supposed to do 30. And I already knew that I should do less because, we started so late. And I'm up there, and I just want to get into a good rhythm and then try to check out like 15 to 20 minutes. And probably about 4 to 5 minutes into my set, I just hear kind of quietly, and I'm not getting good laughs. I mean, like I said, they don't want me there. I'm just trying to find a place that I can get through this and then get out, because Aries knows I'm going to get off early because the show started late. And I'm trying to get this rhythm, and as soon as I get a little rhythm, it goes away. And then all of a sudden, towards the left side, stage left, it's like in the middle of the room, I just hear, "Hey man, where's Aries at?" And it was just so subtle, and I let it go. I didn't try to do anything with it. There's things I could have said at that moment, like I could have just been mean. I could have been whatever in the audience, but I let it go because I knew what situation. I knew I just needed to get through this.
Right.
And then the room starts getting quieter and quieter, and I just hear, "Hey, man, where's Aries at?" And I just started to lose the room, and then you hear other people just start. Then you hear it everywhere. "Where's Aries at? Where's Aries at?" "Yeah, man." And then it gets louder and louder. "Where's Aries at? Where's there?" And it was like it started off like in that cartoon where a little teeny piece of snow rolls down the hill.
Right.
And it had so much momentum, and it was so big. By the time I got off, it was just to booze. And I was like, how did I get here? Like it was just. And I've been heckled a lot, and I have responses, but where's Aries at? Didn't feel like
it hurts because the audience is now choosing, we're done with you.
Yeah.
We don't want you anymore.
And just that little "where's Aries at" just got enough rolling that by the end of that 17 minutes, I was probably up there. It was just a whole audience of people just looking with their hands up. "Where's Aries at? Where?" And then just started to boo. And I was like, I finished the joke. I started laughing because it was that I didn't know what else to do, and walked off stage, brought Aries up and walked off stage. I go, here's where he's at. And I brought him up, and I felt so, I never felt so alone. Like I had nowhere to go, and it sticks with me because I didn't defend my territory. That's my I've had enough experience in this business. That stage is mine, and I got pushed off the stage. And I still to this day cannot believe it. And I went back this probably about just before this the lockdown here happened.
Yeah.
And I made sure that I destroyed that room every fucking night, because I had this animosity towards this room. Like I can't wait to go back there. Like I want somehow emotionally in my heart, I want to burn down Kansas City. I want to just kill this place because I'll never be the same. I'll always think about that moment. And it's not the worst, but it's not even the worst bomb, but mentally it affected me more than anything else ever has.
It's one of those things like you said, it's the most you felt alone because especially on a two-man show, you don't have an MC or someone to talk to in the green room or someone to at least humanize with. You're taken off stage. You have to sit in the place where the murder just happened, right?
Yeah.
And you have to sit there by yourself and just live with it.
And uh, the staff is usually like, the staff I think is important when you're on the road.
Mhm.
And as a feature for a headliner, it's great when the staff comes up to you and go, man, that was really funny. You're one that, I really enjoyed your comedy. You're one of the funniest features we've had. Man, I can't wait till you headline. And when you get that and they remove every ounce of confidence, you can't even walk out of the green room. You don't even want to see that because you know that I felt like I let the staff down. Like I let everybody down. And Aries is so great because Aries knew where my head had to be, but he just looked at me and he just gave me the face. And then he just goes, man, did you hear that? As he's walking on stage. And I go, yeah, how could I miss that? He goes, oh, well. And then he took the stage and he meant to get me with it too. Aries did. I'm not saying it seemed like he was being kind. He was like, make sure that you remember this moment.
Right.
Because you need those moments that are what builds that toughness. And I've done some hard rooms, but that room, and I think that's why it sticks with me more is because I have expected this from other places and I was ready for it. And in that room, because it was Kansas City, it's Midwest, everybody's nice, I'm going to be fine.
Right.
And that's the room where I got jumped.
It's always like that too. And especially when you're like, Thursday's good, Friday's good. It's that building yourself up. You're like, I think I got a hold of this. And then it just sucker punches you out of nowhere.
Well, getting to work with a lot of different headliners. And, when you have those talks in the green room, that's the greatest thing about comedy for me, by the way, is just being in the green room with other people that do this and do it successfully and do it well. But when you hear them go, dude, I've been doing this 25 years and I still have nights they've gotten away from me. And It's amazing when you hear that because you see these guys that are so good that you look up to and they all have the story. Everybody has the story.
Oh.
So and that's, I live for that. I live to go in there and hear about other people's stories as well, because not that it makes me feel better. It makes me know that I'm on a path that everyone else has gone through, that I want to achieve where they're at. So this is part of the path, I guess, or part of the journey.
It would be weird if you were like, yeah, I bombed that one night in Kansas, and then nobody else was bombing. Like if they were just like, we've never had that situation.
Yeah, we've never had Kansas, man. No one's ever bombed there.
Right.
Yeah, the city is perfect for comedy. No, it got me. It got me good. That I'm sweating right now, like while I talk to you.
Just feeling it. Yeah, it's so weird because then. Now, do you go back with Aries? Are you going back to the hotel with him, or do you have to drive separately? Or
that particular weekend, we were in different hotels, but we go out afterwards, and we usually have at least a drink. And it was still late, and I think we managed 11, 12. No, we might not have managed to get a drink that night. We might have had to sit at the bar at the club, which is even worse because at least if I leave, I've left the scene of the crime.
Right.
But I believe we had to stay there and we wanted to have a drink. So I had to sit at the bar at the place that I looked at the chalk outline of my soul on the stage. It was miserable.
It's so, because then the staff is coming up to you. They're like, hey, how are you? It's like, I'm not well.
Yeah, they try to make you feel better and go, hey, that early show set was great.
Yeah.
So that means you witnessed the assassination of myself on the second show, right? Yeah, is that what you're trying to say? And you have to, there was a point where, like, when I had bombed in the past, like I didn't want to acknowledge that to this. Now you have to acknowledge it. I had to acknowledge it. Like I made fun of it. By the night, it was fine. By the end of the night, I was fine. But I have never lost that feeling of that moment. That's never going to go away. No matter what, if I was able to go up tonight and killed, I will still have that in the back of my head that reminds me that isn't meaningful because that's over with. and that feeling that I had in Kansas City is waiting for me somewhere else in
Right.
another stage. So
And
it continues to this day.
it's one of those feelings that you're just waiting for it to come around the corner. You're like, well, I've had 5 good shows. Let's see how much longer we can chance fate. Because it
No.
always ends before you think it's going to end.
Well, the nice thing about it is I could see that scenario happening now. I don't think I'll get caught by the small snowball turning into the huge snowball ever again like that, from something so that I didn't think needed to be addressed, and now I know that needed to be. I would see that coming, but there's something else coming for us every time we go on stage. Yeah, we got past, we know how to do that. This we know how to do, but then there's that next move that someone's going to have eventually. I mean, you watch MMA, these guys know what all the moves are. Someone invents a new move. That's how you get, that's how you get taken down. You're like, wow, I would have never saw that coming. Yeah, well, now you have. Now you know what it is. But another move is definitely on its way.
Yeah. Every time you go on stage, you're like, well, if they punch me in the face, I can handle that. As long as, and then all of a sudden someone sweeps your leg and you're like, when did we start sweeping legs? What the hell? It's frightening. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is it's you never win in this game. You never win. Because I don't care how great you are. That moment is waiting for you, no matter who you are. Yeah. So it's great the Zen idea of comedy, to understand that and to be able to move through that is amazing. But I don't have that. I was introduced to you through Adam Ferreira.
Yes.
And Adam is constantly searching for that Zen balance.
Yes.
And he does a great job of searching.
Right.
And when I look at him, I'm going, God, I gotta find that. I gotta discover that. Not necessarily finding it, because I don't think that's the goal. It's the goal is to seek it. And I haven't even tried to seek it. I'm in the corner just waiting for someone to come at me. That's where my Zen is. It's not an even keel where I'm trying to be able to find the secrets. I'm just in the corner trying to fight my way out.
You're just on defense already. Your hands are up. You're like, I don't know who's going to attack me, but it's going to happen.
When I'm on stage, my hands are flailing. I am like quite animated because of that anxiety that's in me. So yeah, living with that that is not thought. Every single day that thought comes up in my mind of Kansas City. It's every day,
and it will never leave. Do you have any sort of after a good show, it's the best, everybody wants to go out. You're like, of course we're going out. We're going to see people from the show. They're going to approach me. But after the bomb, after the bad gig, what is the thing that you go to try to release some of that tension or some of that pain?
There is none. For me, I seriously will go back to the hotel and I'll sit in it. I'll stew in it. It's not, I'll go back. Sometimes I usually record my sets from on my phone. I just set it on the stool. And if it's really bad, I'll go back and listen to it. I think they're all bad. To be honest, when I said I was killing that night, that's a literary kind of I'm killing that night. Not like I actually believe I killed that night. So I don't think they're good anyway, so I won't listen to them. But when I get that one that's that bad, I'll listen to it over and over just to, I don't know what it is. I'm miserable to myself.
Yeah. I mean, I almost want to remove myself so much from what happened that I will drive out of town and, I'll go to a fast food place 2 towns over and just try to forget that I ever got into comedy. I'm looking on ZipRecruiter for jobs. I'm like, this obviously is not going to be it for me.
I've had that when I get back to the hotel and go, what else can I do? I didn't start comedy till I was older. I didn't really get into it. That second part where after that 6 months, and I said I gave it up for 5, I didn't get going until I was 42. Yeah. So, and then I have 10, I'm almost at 11 years now. I don't have like another option. So that, I think that's one of the other reasons I will sit and stew in it, because I'm like, what else do I have to do? Figure this out, marinate in it, figure out how to get the flavoring and go back out there, because this is, you made a commitment to this. I don't know what you're going to do if it's not this.
Yeah.
So yeah, no,
That's
I never try to get away from it.
that's pretty. I mean, it's really something though that other comics, like, you could see, like, oh, that's how you should treat it. You should go and sit in it and learn from it. But for me, I'm like, delete that recording. My phone is in the river. Like, I'm calling other comics. I'm like, please tell me that I'm not insane. You know what I mean?
I don't recommend sitting in it like that. I really don't. I don't think that I mentally, I know it's not the best thing for me. I've gotten this far in life with some really, I don't want to say my life is it's not any harder than anybody else's. We know the struggles that we're in, and overcoming those is what makes us who we are. And I've had some significant struggles throughout my life, but I think this is the meanest I can ever be to myself when I do that. And I wish I could figure out a way. That's why I do look up to Adam when he finds his way, his spiritual way.
Right.
And mine is not that.
The thing that I envy about him the most is whether it's a good show or a bad show. And I've never seen him bomb by any means, but whether it's a rowdy crowd or it's not ideal, he's the same way after every show. He can center himself back to, like, not being overly excited or not being overly down.
And I think that's, like I said, trying to find that Zen, trying to find yourself. I think that's what he gives us.
Yeah.
And everybody that's around. He deals with it in his head too.
Yeah.
But I just wish I would like to find a better way to deal with it than the way that I do. I've been very fortunate this last few years that I haven't had tons of those. I've had challenging experiences. I was in, this is the best part about getting to tour. This is why I love touring, especially with Aries. I'm going to cities I would never maybe go to, or clubs in cities that I might not go to. Right. I went to a club in Atlanta, and Atlanta, I think Atlanta's a great area because it really teaches you how to do comedy. It's a different kind of space. Mm-hmm. And entertainment's a big deal out there. And different rooms all over the country. Aries in certain areas, his rooms are really a mixed audience, but there are urban comedy clubs. I mean, they're all right. Mainly a majority Black rooms, and especially if they're Black owned. And I've had Atlanta and Detroit are the two places that have challenged me in those kind of, but Atlanta, they don't boo you in Atlanta. This is what's great, because Atlanta's so put together. If you start to hear keys come out, and then you hear keys shaking, and they start shaking the keys, and you can hear all the keys shaking in the room, that means you got a sitting down ovation of boos. That's that is how they let you know. And I was made aware of this, and I was on stage. It was Friday, and I had rough shows every single night. They weren't good shows. That I can't even use the literary way of saying I killed. I didn't. I was being beat up every night. But this one particular night, I was doing my jokes are a little longer. I'm more story. And I was in a story that had a little bit more build up, and all of a sudden I just heard the keys starting to come out. And I was like, man, get to the punchline. And I rolled through that joke and got to the punchline, and the keys went back down. But I was this close to getting and I learned that from the Kansas City show. Once the keys, a little bit of that noise started, it could have went really quickly.
Take off. Yeah.
And so you got that one is my favorite. Atlanta and the Keys are one of my favorite. Just knowing that I did avoid that, but it's my favorite thing that I even know that. I think that's all. Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't think a lot of comics would know that. Like, if they just heard a bunch of keys rattlings, does everybody have to leave? Like, what is happening?
No, you have to leave.
Right. Yeah. It's them telling you to leave. And I'm sure, though, touring, like, I started in Pittsburgh at the Pittsburgh Improv, which was a predominantly urban club as well. And
The one in Harrisburg?
the one in, it's Pittsburgh down, it's like near where the old steel mills used to be.
Yeah, that's Harrisburg. I've done that club a few times.
And it is like, I sort of came up there, and I was like one of 3 white guys that would work with black headliners. And it was feast or famine for me. Like, it was either so fun, and people are like old black women are pinching my cheeks after, and like, you're cute, you're funny. I'm like, I'm the best. They're carrying me out on a chair, or it was so painful that it was the same as Kansas City, where I'm like, I can't leave the green room. Like, I feel too bad. I can't see these people until they're all gone.
Well, I've gotten past that because in a black audience, there are 2 sides. You're either good or you're bad. There is no real in between, and it's honest. It's honest.
It's the most authentic judgment of comedy, and you have to be the most authentic version of yourself, because if not, they'll kill you.
And that is a really good point, being authentic to yourself, of who you are, to deliver. They'll respect that more. Like, in a black room, I love this. If a racist in a black room came up and did jokes, and that's who they were, they would find that funnier than someone being unauthentic, not being them true selves.
Absolutely.
Because they may not like that person, but they would. And Chappelle, Dave Chappelle talked a little bit about that when he knows. I don't know if you saw the Mark Twain Awards, and I don't want to get away from what we're doing here, but he talks a little bit about not so much as his personal experience with comedy, and he'd rather be the true, authentic person than anything that was fake. For whatever reason, a black room really senses that in you, and if you're lying about who you are, it's going to come out. It's going to come out.
And it's also a thing of like being confident in who you are, because a comedy club full of a black audience, that is the most confident group of people. They're all extremely confident. So if you are also not confident, they feel like, what are you doing up there?
Self-deprecation in a black room doesn't really work.
No, I remember the first time I worked with Tony Roberts, and like Thursday night, I'm like, so I'm kind of fat and this and that, and they're just like, oh, please stop. And I called my buddy, and Tony was so cool. He was like, try doing this and don't worry about it. And he gave me he's like, speed it up a little bit, but I remember calling my buddy, and I was just like, dude, I don't know what to do. I've done these jokes a million times, and all of a sudden they don't work. I don't know, should I throw them out? And he was like, you gotta play. It's a different audience. You're not doing this for, soccer moms, right?
Right.
I don't wanna, you're not opening for Dave Coulier. You're opening for Tony Roberts, right?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question then, because you said this, and because this question's been put to me, and I would like to know your opinion now, especially knowing now where you started off at. Obviously, you've opened up. It sounds like you've opened up for quite a few black headliners then.
Yeah.
Do you think that a person who's never opened in black rooms, and comedy is supposed to be, like, if something's funny, it's supposed to be funny, right? But do you think that a headliner, and I don't want to use well, you brought up Dave Coulier.
Yeah.
Could he headline a black room?
I don't know. I think for me, what I notice is it's a little bit of like rise to the occasion. When I get on stage in a black room, it's like, I can feel as if they're like, go ahead, and it's one of these, where they're like, let's see what you got. And I don't know. I'd like to think that, like you said, funny is funny, but there are so many black headliners that I have seen who are who no one knows, the world doesn't know about. And they murder harder than I've ever seen a lot of comics, big comics with specials murder. Like whatever venue we were in, some church or some fire hall. I mean, like the roof is shaking because this guy from Cleveland, you know, who's 52 years old, this black guy from Cleveland is just destroying, you know. And I've seen very famous comics not be able to kill that hard to their own audience.
I find it interesting. I think that it's, for me personally, getting this experience over these last 2 years, I feel has made me such a much stronger comic. And when I do a mixed or a soccer mom room, well, maybe not a soccer mom room, but when I do an all white audience or a very suburban audience, it's easy. It's so much easier now.
Yeah. Because you have that confidence. You have like a little bit of like you almost get a little bit of the swagger that they have. You know, it's like I have no swagger, but if I can do a weekend for an all black audience, I'm going to be walking with a little bit more pep in my step, you know?
Yeah, you got swagger by osmosis.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just being around people that are much cooler than me and carry themselves better, you know, I feel a little bit better about myself.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think that's great, and I agree with you. That's it's definitely a different skill set. It's still funny. Comedy's funny. Comedy's whatever it takes to be funny. Whatever you do that's authentically you is funny. But that it just shows you like there's a different. And you said speed it up too. There's a different speed that you can move in a black room that I don't think you can do in a suburban room. I feel like I can really slow it down. Like the soccer mom room, I could really slow it down and take it and build the picture and then hit the punchline, and it's funny. But in an urban room, you know, we get it. There's a picture. Right. What's funny about this picture?
Let's go. Yeah. We are here to see the guy on the poster. Get through it.
And that goes back to my Kansas City night.
Right.
I'm here to see Aries. No matter how funny you might think you are, you're not as funny as the guy we paid to see.
Right.
Let's go home. Let's go home. Let's get up here what we need up here. Yeah, man. That's it.
That's fantastic. Let me ask you this before we wrap up here. So that's first 6 months to where you are now after that gap time. What would you tell, 6 months in, Andy, if you had to give him any advice?
Man, I wish I had a great answer to this. I would probably tell myself not to be so in awe of other comics that I perceive them being a successful comic. I really was in awe of comedians. And when I said that one of my favorite parts of being in comedy is being in the green room and being able just to have these conversations. And I mean, I've got stories that I just love that I even know these stories, and that to me is great to have that. But I wish I just didn't seem such like a fan in the beginning.
Right.
And obviously you are a fan. That's why we got into this. But people want to be in the green room with the other peers, not fans.
I think that's really good advice, because I was the same way, where I felt out of place in the green room, like I was a fraud a little bit, and it was unsettling to other people, because I just sat there quietly, like staring at the walls, and they want someone to talk to. They want to hang out.
They want hanging out. That's that they want someone. They're like you said, if you're stuck in that room, and there are some decent green rooms, but not a lot of them.
Right.
They want decent company is more important. And some people don't want a conversation, and you got to be able to feel that out too. But
yeah, right.
But they do want someone there when they do want to have a conversation, and they don't want someone just to go, well, tell me what makes you a great, and I didn't do that either, but I was just so, I was so weird about it. The other thing I would add to this though, is as I was trying to figure this out, I didn't take pictures with anybody because I didn't want them to feel like, I want them to feel like I've done this before with other people and I'm not here. I would change that, and I would make it so that I would make the picture taking experience as a way to record a great weekend, not as I want this picture with you.
Right.
And I would have taken the picture because, unfortunately, as you go through this this road in life in general, you're going to lose people. People pass away. People, they die.
Right.
And there's been some really great weekends that I've had with great people that have moved on, and I really wish that I had a recorded memory. And I wish it wasn't as like this fanboy, but like as another comic that said, man, this is a great weekend. I love working here at the whatever. Can we get a pic out there in front of the sign, or can we do? I enjoyed my weekend with you.
Right.
I really wish that I would have found a way. And this is where it goes back to the first thing I said, is not being a fan. I really wish as a comic, I could have figured out a way to take pictures with other comics and not seem like a douche.
Yeah. Right.
And because I have some people that I feel terrible that I don't have a picture with. And since then I try to take pictures with everybody now because because I miss those people. I've had and I can be real honest about it, who one of them is. Ralphie May, I got to work with several times, and I used to work at this breakfast place, and I took Ralphie there for breakfast, and his kids were there, his dog, everybody, and we've had this great time. And I love that I have all the connection and the memories and the times that I've worked with them. I don't have a picture. And not that I have to have one.
Right. But it'd be nice to look back
and have that.
Right.
And yeah, that's the thing. If I don't know how that works into answering your question, but it swung around in my head as you asked me that question.
I think that's fantastic advice. Andy, thank you so much for doing this. Please tell people where to find you and where to find your podcast.
Oh, okay. I do a podcast with Aries Spears called Spears and Steinberg. It's just about two guys on the road, but we're not on the road right now. So we've been talking about the Last Dance, Michael Jordan, ESPN. We're doing that, and we just have conversations about life. And so Aries can be very. I don't want the word. The wrong word is what I was going to use. And I don't want to use that word. Aries can challenge your thoughts sometimes.
Yes.
So can I. And so our podcast can get a little heated, and it's fun. It's fun to listen to. But if you're soft, where you like things to be flowery and nice, and don't listen to the podcast. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna make your day better. I don't want to get the email or the message. I don't need it. So yeah, if you're not that person, don't listen to it. It's fine. It's not for everybody. I'm Andy Comedy on Instagram. It's all I use. I don't even look at Facebook or any of that stuff anymore. It's I enjoy a quick picture of whatever's happening with you or whomever, and I want to move on. That's it. We're not interacting. I don't need to listen. This noveling that people do on Facebook, where I have to read 4 paragraphs so that I know what you had for dinner that night, is not. It doesn't appeal to me. So Instagram. And like I said, I'm going to be on this Helium. I said I was going to say the name of it. The Roast. Man, am I dumb? Let's see if I can find it real quick. Coast Roast.
Yeah.
And you can go to the Helium webpage. You can see all about it. It's March 7th. And I'm going to be roasting. I'm in the West. So I'm roasting with, I think, Denver and LA. And I know there's some other cities in there too. Both Phoenix. I'm representing Phoenix. I'm with Anwar Newton from Phoenix. So it's going to be cool. And I hope some people check that out. See what happens. I'm really interested in seeing to do this video thing. I think comedy is so, we discovered how hard it is to do comedy without people. You can't do it. I don't know how to, I want it to be good because it's a roast. I think it kind of works out because it's not dependent on as much timing as so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this.
No, man. Thank you for having me on. Good luck. Keep watching those 4 t-shirts, and I hope to talk to you soon, man. See you on the road.